Hi guys, welcome to my channel, and I am excited to post and share with you all that I've purchased my very first exotic car, which I will be revealing later, as well as numbers on the deal that I got. The whole goal of this video is to essentially share with you all what it's like for a normal guy like me who has no inside connections, no strategy for hacks or anything, just a guy who loves cars, who worked hard, saved money, and it was the right time. Everything kind of lined up, and I decided to make the purchase and fulfill this lifelong dream of mine. That being said, the one thing I would like to share, and this is probably common sense to many of you seasoned motorheads out there, cars are depreciating assets, number one. Don't go into this purchase, even an exotic car, although they do hold their value better, they depreciate hard. So before you even begin this process, just accept the fact that this is essentially a toy that is not a good investment option. Please be in a good, comfortable financial position before moving forward. All that being said, some things that I wish I knew that I'm going to share with you all. One, negotiating for these cars is very similar to negotiating with other cars that you've purchased, I'm sure, in your life. I know that sounds like an obvious thing to many of you, not to me. At first, I was quite intimidated by the process. I thought that, they won't even look at you unless you have purchased vehicles of almost equal value, and if you try to talk about leasing or finance, people put their nose up. That is not the experience that I had at all. And that's something that I wish somebody would have just said those words to me. I know I read the forums and stuff, but it's to actually hear those words will give you more confidence when you approach these deals. I started the whole process the same way I would for any car. I got on cargurus.com, and I'll even link it below. Looked up the car that I wanted, the spec, the trim, distance. I expanded it for nationwide, because when you look at exotic cars nationwide, it's often common to have them shipped to you. It's not like you go to your local dealership. If you're lucky enough to live by one, great, but if not, it's very common for these guys to ship the cars directly to your house. So just look them up. And one thing about Car Gurus that I like is that they very clearly write how long the car's been at the dealer, so you have an idea. Maybe this car is more likely to move on this car versus others. So common sense stuff that when I first started this process, I thought was faux pas in the exotic world. I'm sure for incredibly special limited edition vehicles, that's not the case, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is just me thinking that, and maybe you can try to negotiate on a Bugatti. I'm sure you can, but to a lay person, you think, oh, billionaires walk in there and just drop the cash. But in reality, I'm sure everybody does. To that end, I'm in a position, fortunately now, after a normal guy working hard, saving money, investing, and being in a position to buy this car now, I can't fundamentally change who I am. I still want to feel like I got a good deal. It's an expensive car, it's a depreciating asset. You don't want to just blow your money. So I worked hard to negotiate with multiple dealerships, and I nitpicked on everything. I'm sure I thought many of them would get annoyed, but in reality, a lot of these salesmen came from other manufacturers as well before they got to the exotic dealerships, and they were prepared. They were like, no, we get it. We want you to get the best deal, and I want to be happy. And you got to be polite. The exotic car world is not big, so you don't want to burn bridges. So be polite, but don't be too scared to ask for that low number that you would be happy with. I think that there are exceptions. I'm sure there are some people who've had experiences where the salesman doesn't even respond or something, and that's quite unfortunate. Just because you can afford a car like this doesn't mean you don't want the best deal. It's like knowing, what is the joke? The art of the deal, right? This is a good apropos time to say that. Knowing that you got a good deal is quite satisfactory, and they recognize that too. So went on Car Gurus, looked around. Some tips that I wish I knew that I'd like to share with you. Seasonality, not just this end of the year, they got to meet their quota. There's a little bit of that, of course, but in the exotic car world, cars don't move as fast anyways. So it's not quite as much of a motivating factor, but the current climate issues and weather problems across, I found that the East Coast and the Southeast seemed a lot more motivated to get me a good deal, primarily because of flooding and raining and people weren't driving a lot of the cars. And same thing, wintertime is a good time to try to negotiate with those East Coast Midwestern guys. They tend to be more motivated to find a deal. And let's say you live on the West Coast, those guys, they don't want to lose your business. So having the deal from the East or West, or East or Southeast, that it's a very good deal, you can share that with the West Coast and tell them, this is what I got. Can you match it? Can you beat it? It's the exact same process. And I know, like I said, this might seem like common sense to a lot of you, but to me, if somebody would have said this to me, I would have been a lot less intimidated when I went throughout this whole process. So I actually, a little kind of tip that I have for everybody as well is looking for a specific model and car. I don't want to give too much away because I'm going to reveal the car later in the video, but when you're looking for that specific car, don't be turned off by wild colors, because actually those colors don't sell quite as fast. And I actually was able to, on a few of the deals, not the one that I took, but a few of the deals, the dealer was willing to provide free shipping and wrap the car for me. I told them, I was like, listen, my wife's not gonna like this car, this color. Could you perhaps wrap it? Could we bake that into the deal? And many of them were willing to do that. They may not have discounted the car as much. I will say towards the end though, right when I essentially gave everybody an ultimatum and I said, hey, listen, in 2 days I'm signing, what's the best you can do? And man, the day before I signed, I have so many missed calls and texts because these guys were motivated. I found, and I was shocked because I thought the exotic car world was different. But no, this is just like when I bought my first Toyota. I mean, people were like, we'll approach it, but it worked when I did it just recently in late summer 2025. So hopefully this is useful to many of you. I think it's applicable, but I simply blanket across. When I looked at Reddit and Lease Hacker and all these things, these people, some guys, they just claim, oh, I got a 15% discount and they paid me more for my trade and blah. Maybe there's these Goldilocks deals out there, but I am a normal guy. I don't have any hacks or tricks. I don't know anybody in the business. I'm just a normal guy who wanted an exotic car, and that's it. So I'm hoping to reach that demographic here with this video. So I just, based on what I read and what I saw, I initiated all of the conversations, first with what the out-the-door price would be, including tax, to have the vehicle shipped to me at where it is, with a protection plan, like a wheel and tire protection plan. And I'm sure there are other stepwise approaches, and I really encourage you all to leave comments on the video. I'd like to learn from you, especially you experts that are probably better at this than I am, about how to approach this better. But I would say that, get those numbers. And so once I got everybody's base price, what they were advertising after tax, I compared them. And then a strategy that I had based on information, like I said, that I researched, I just blanket asked everybody, like, ideally, I would like 10% off of MSRP. Is that something that you can do? And again, remain polite. At first, and this might seem like common sense, and 10% off MSRP used to be a common thing, and I'm sure some of you hackers out there get that all the time. But for normal people like us, I don't think it's that common anymore at all. So if you did get over 10%, amazing. And if you didn't, don't feel bad. I had a lot of trouble getting people even close to that number, even towards the end. So I asked that. And one thing I wanted to share with you is I was actually surprised that on average, every single dealer was willing to give me at least 4% off. So right, without any pushback. So I think that those of you who are in the market, a thing I wish somebody told me is, don't be afraid to ask for a number that you are comfortable with. Just be polite and feel it out, like I said, based on how long the car's been there and whatnot. So the MSRP discount that I was being offered was fair based on market conditions for this specific car. By MSRP, some were used. It's discount even off their used price also. So once I thought it was fair, then I asked them to structure the deal as a lease, specifically a 39-month lease. I said 5,000 miles annually, although I didn't plan on driving that. I said 39-month lease, 5,000 miles annually. And I, in this particular situation, was going to put $20K duet signing. That would be everything, including the fees in the first month of registration. So $20K duet signing, 39 months, 5,000 miles annually. I always wanted it to be leased, but based on what I read, and I hope this is helpful to some of you, I tried to negotiate that MSRP, that selling price first, before I told them it was going to be a lease. And I want you guys to rip me apart in the comments. Please tell me, hey, no, you should have done it this way, or that way doesn't always work, and blah, blah. Please tell me. I want this channel to be a forum for all of us to learn, like Lease Hacker, where you can read about how people sign. But the thing about Lease Hacker, and this is what motivated me to even record this video, some people are posting deals on there that are just so astronomical. It ended up making me feel bad. I was like, man, I can't even ever get close to something like this. So I don't know if they're always real or not, but this is real, all right? Like I said, I'm a normal guy, and I wanted to share exactly what my experience was with you. So they would come back to me with their lease structure. Even cars that actually would have the same selling price, there was a huge variety in monthly payments. Wait, what's going on here? Is it the protection plan one's marked up more? Is it the money factor? So step two, after he said, make it look like structured as a lease, said, well, what's your money factor? And I would say the same thing to everybody. What's your money factor you're using? Primarily because your monthly payment is significantly different than three other dealers I'm looking at who have very similar priced vehicles. Then they'd come back and tell me, and some of them automatically offered to give me the buy rate, which I thought was a show of good faith. The next step beyond that, I would say, well, what's the protection plan cost? That I've also found that you can very easily negotiate. So finding the stepwise approach, this is what I do: MSRP, money factor, protection plan, and then towards the very end, as the last sticking points would be, I want free shipping. And for some of the vehicles where I said, I may have to go this other way because we don't like the color, I want you to put the wrap in there as well. That's kind of an approach I took, and I was very surprised as to how willing many of the dealers were to make those things happen. So I hope that you guys found that helpful, because when I was looking online, I didn't find any of those tips. I just started learning as I was going. So that's kind of the approach that I would take if I were you. Finally, I made my decision, not only because of the car that I wanted, but also I asked the dealer, I was like, well, what kind of events do you have for your customers? And a lot of dealers take great pride in that. Some of them, their car shows and the events, they're like, oh, you'll be a part of this. We have this many throughout the year. So it's cool to be a part of that. Obviously, it's hard when they ship a vehicle to you and you're out of state, but if you happen to live near one, it's nice to know that, hey, that's also nice. All right, guys, I think I've yapped enough, and now I would like to reveal my first exotic to you all, and we'll go through all the numbers.
All right, guys, here it is. My new Lamborghini Urus Performante. It's a 2024, brand new, 50 miles on the odometer, completely blacked out, heavy carbon fiber options on it. So I'll zoom in on here in a sec. Blacked out insignia there, carbon. Gosh, very happy with my choice. Looks stunning in the sunlight here. Carbon fiber roof option as well. Just a beautiful car, and very practical, I might add. As I was driving it, not a lot of tension, which is exactly what I wanted. I think people every now and then did a double take, but it's a pretty subtle car actually, especially driving it daily. Let's take a look at the interior now. And carbon fiber inside, got the red accents at the door, stitching, little red accents here and there in the vehicle. And I actually continue to be surprised finding little details that I had noticed at first, like this on the steering wheel and whatnot. So very happy. And there's the rear, got the captain seats type configuration. Really very cool. All right, one of my favorite parts. Let's fire it up. Very nice. Set this to sport or Corsa. Let's get some good revs in here. You can hear, hope you guys can hear that purr. Oh my goodness.
All right, guys, so there you have it. It's a 2024 Urus Performante, new. The car that we got was $352K MSRP. I was able to negotiate that down 6% discount. Not the highest discount by any means that I got. I encourage you guys to fight for more. I had an 8% discount from one that was orange, and a 10% discount from one that was green, all brand new cars. And both the dealer with the orange, he wasn't willing to, but the green car, specifically, that dealer was willing to even wrap the car for me too, for free, the extra discount. But I talked to my wife, and we didn't want to have to deal with that, following up with the wrap and making sure it was good quality and that and the other. And on top of all that, we wanted to establish a relationship with this other dealer. We loved this car. They were very professional and courteous throughout the whole process. I have kids, actually, and they really went above and beyond with even the delivery experience. They had a little thing set up for the kids, and it was a lot of fun. So very glad that I took the deal that I did. But I did make it known to them that I was paying a premium to establish that relationship with them, and I wanted them to recognize that. And they did, and they seemed receptive to that, because I hope to have purchased many more exotics in the future. So I want them to think of me when they get an allocation or something special like an event or whatnot. And I encourage you all, when you're going through this journey, to think about things like that as well, not just the bottom line. And again, that was the whole purpose of me making this video. What would I tell myself to adhere? Not only just, hey, what's the cheapest car, but also think about other ways to negotiate, especially at this level, and things to think about, establishing that relationship and events and the customer service and whatnot. So negotiated, now back to the negotiated on 6%. Out the door, I paid $20K due at signing, and for a 39-month lease, 5,000 miles annually. And my final monthly was around $39.70-ish. It's about $4,200 after tax. And that includes a full protection plan for windshield, wheel and tire, keys. So $4,200 is no small amount of money. I recognize that, and put the numbers on Lease Hacker and that and the other, and all of that served was to make me feel worse. But I'm very happy with the experience, the car, and based on my negotiating experience, it seemed like one of the better deals with everything put together. So I hope you found some value from this. To just quickly sum up, if I had to do it all over again, start with a wide search. Cargurus.com is where I started. Again, I'll link that below. Ask for their price up front. I found that by asking that first versus just asking for a discount immediately, it seemed to lead to a better interaction between me and every single person I spoke to at the different dealerships. Then a polite way, counter with a discount. In my situation, I asked everybody for 10% and then went from there. Don't be afraid to look for wild colors and ask for little things like, hey, can you wrap it? Can you bake that in? Delivery costs, please bake that in if possible. And moral of the story, don't be afraid to ask for these things, and don't be intimidated just because it's the exotic car realm. These are normal people that'll understand. And if anybody makes you feel less than or intimidated or whatever, stop working with them. Hope you found this helpful. Feel free to leave some comments. Tell me what I did wrong, what you would have done differently, a deal that you came across that was better. This is a real deal. So like I said, you look online, you're going to see these crazy discounted deals. I don't know if they're all real, but this was a real deal. So hopefully you found this helpful. Subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks.